have to do something, and if we do nothing, we already know what that results in. And I'm just not a do-nothing type of DA. We need to do something, and if it fails, we scratch it off and let's go to the next thing. But doing nothing, I was born and raised here in Wyandotte County. I've seen doing nothing, and I see it does not work. And so we got to do something, and so my office will be a part of the solution. Having said that, I appreciate your time and your willingness to allow me to speak to you even after I'm in office. And so having said that, does anyone have any questions?
I know you got something else to say.
I heard you.
Such a little neighborhood.
I heard you.
Go ahead.
You know?
Has there ever been another DA that's ever put himself out here to the public like you ever in our district?
No.
You know what, when I talked about you quite a bit, and everybody didn't want you as a DA because you're a preacher, okay?
Yes.
My God, that's what our city needs. I follow you all the time, and I see you at the schools doing this, and I'm thinking, that's exactly what those kids, I've seen you say, you get in that car, make sure it ain't got something that's gonna get you in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, that's what these kids have never heard. Thank you. God almighty, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm finding over and over again that straight talk is the only talk
Absolutely.
that we need. And these children really need it. The 15-year-old 10 years ago is not the same 15-year-old today. 15-year-old 20 years ago is not the same 15-year-old today. And as I sit, we have a case where we're dealing with a 15-year-old murderer, right? This is not a good thing. And if we want to go into these schools and talk to these 13, 14, 15-year-olds and just say, hey, it's going to be okay, just make the right choice, well, they're going to say, okay, good, that's what it is, and then move on. When the reality is, you get on Facebook, you get on social media, and these 13, 14, 15-year-old kids are holding weapons bigger than what our officers have. They're holding semi-automatics, and they're going to people's houses, and they're out. Not all of them, right? I had one young lady say, well, one of the issues is that many of these people are broke, and they don't have any jobs, and they don't have any money. And listen, I agree, right? You need jobs. We need more economic development. But let's not be sidetracked. Just because you broke, don't mean you a criminal. Well, how do you know? Because I grew up broke in the mall. I was broke. You see, being broke doesn't make you a criminal.
We own our own businesses and we're broke as shit.
You see, you got a job and you still broke, right? And that doesn't do it. And so these kids, their mentality is that if I have no money, then therefore I have the thought process that it's okay to go take somebody else's. And my thinking when I go and I talk to these young folks is, I wonder to myself, what would I have wanted to hear when I was at Wyandotte High School and it was drug selling going on and it was folks robbing and folks with guns in there, and what would I want to hear? I have folks come there and they talk about, oh, just make the right decision and you can do anything.
Say no.
Right? So my thought process is, when I go in there, I want these kids to understand, look, I understand what it feels like to be Lil Ray Ray.
All right.
I understand what it feels like to be Lil Pookie and them.
Yeah.
But guess what? Unless Lil Pookie want to be locked up, Pookie better turn away. Unless Ray Ray want to be locked up, Ray Ray need to understand, I don't care what your mama said, I don't care what your daddy said, I don't care how many people you got that have been locked up and they think it's hard until you were about to be locked up. You really don't understand. And so many of them, I've had so many people literally bring their children to my office, having started going out and talking to these folks. Citizens, bringing their kids, and I ain't talking about just the super clean-cut law-abiding citizens. I'm talking about some of the roughnecks. And they bringing their kids up there and talking about, I just want them to meet Mr. Dupree.
Yeah.
And I take them around and I show them the office and I show them this side of the system so that they can understand, you can do this too. So, prosecution and prevention. And it takes work and it takes long days and it takes time. But I'm willing to do it because I got a 4, 5, 6, and an 8-year-old, and when they get old enough, I want them to have critical thinking skills to say no to foolishness and not be concerned about being robbed by their fellow 12-year-old.
Is this your way of saying that this is a scared straight program?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So that's why that's why it's working, because you're
Somebody
doing.
give it to you.
I believe it. I believe it. Yes,
Is this
sir.
a kind of a scared straight approach?
I wouldn't call it a scare straight approach because I don't believe that the scare straight approach
Common
works.
sense, direct talk.
Right? Direct talk is what I would call it, practically speaking, because scare straight, for me, it is very difficult to scare straight a child who has seen more murder in their life than you will ever see in your life, right? It's hard to tell a kid who saw their uncle beat up, robbed, and shot, and their mom out on drugs, and then run from the cops, right? To, you need to be scared of the system. Because the system, in many of their points of view, is unless you go to jail, unless you do some time, you are nothing in the streets, per se.
Yep.
So that doesn't make sense. I cannot relate to my mama being a crackhead and my daddy being shot and taken to jail for it. I can't relate to that. I can, yeah, thank God. I can relate to growing up in Wyandotte County in the inner core, in the urban core, and I can relate to seeing two dead bodies at the age of 8. I can relate to being shot at, but thank God I survived. I can relate to making the right decisions in spite of all of the wrong options being in front of me, right? And so I think many of these young people just need to understand that good people can come out of the place and the state of mind that you're in. It's been done before.
Yes.
They just need to know that it can happen. Good folks come out of Wyandotte County despite the crime, despite the issues, despite the gangs, despite all of that. All it takes is you making the right choice, then being the one to say it will not happen any longer in my community, coming back and being a part of the solution rather than forcing my hand and go from prevention to now I have to prosecute you.
There was 2 boys that beat up a preacher and a priest for a
Yes.
few months, and I put a thing on my Facebook about how pathetic that was. And I had Gary Wilson's wife, Jackie, said, I knew both of these children. She said, the court systems failed those kids when they were little. They were taken out of their homes constantly and put right back into a home where the mother was into drugs and what have you. It still doesn't take okay that those kids did it, but sometimes we have to go after those, take them away maybe a little earlier. I don't know what we're gonna do with them, but now these boys, I mean, I see it both ways too, but I don't know. I also get a lot of people at my shop, a lot of people that's been in the penitentiary that have turned their lives around and are good, productive people now. And I think, I can't go up there and talk to these people about that type of activity, but these young men can. I can give you a list of at least 5 or 6 guys that have been in the penitentiary, committed murder and all kinds of burglaries, that have turned their lives around, and they would love to come and speak to these kids. Maybe that's what they need to learn,
Well, and maybe so.
I can get you a list of a bunch of them. I think I already told you that.
Listen, I got a question for you.
I got an answer.
If, huh?
I got an answer.
I bet you do. Preachers always have an answer.
Let's preach it a
In
preacher.
the book, you just gotta look at it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's preaching the preacher.
Okay, all right.
Listen, but what I want to ask you, are we able to bring up, and I know when I was a kid, our church used to take us in groups to the jail, and we could tour the jail. And actually, like you were talking about earlier, they would have people to tour it and show us, this is where you end up if you don't do such a thing, or if you do this, that, and the other. Are we able to bring a group from church up to your facility or and talk to you or someone else, preferably you? I know your time is stacked.
No, listen, my time is always open. Mr. Jonathan Carter is your contact, and I have cards here. Whenever you want to bring a group of folks to my office, I will absolutely make time.
No more TV man.
Listen, no,
Put him out of there.
that's it. All right, I'm pulling him out. And
That's a good man.
He's good at what he does. And I'll tell you, in concern of the jail, we've had oftentimes with some of the folks who come to my office, they likewise will connect with the sheriff's department. And they can go and tour the jail and see that aspect of it as well. I mean, so that is a part of it. And not a lot of people nowadays, quite as kept, do that. And so one of the things that I'm pushing is making sure that I maintain my touchableness, okay? I want people to come in. I want you all to come by my office. I want you all to come and drink some of that good government coffee we all pay for. That's all I got for you is good government coffee. So, yes, sir.
I got a question. Once a person is, you push charges and take it to court, how well are you working with the judicial system? Do they have the same mentality that you have? You can do everything that you can, but, and I'm speaking out from experience, do they have the same mentality? Have you been able to get some of them on board is the bottom line?
Right. And the answer is yes. We have a Chief Judge Wayne Lamson, who's been on the bench for years. And I'll tell you that he has been extremely receptive to the provincial mindset into what is nationwide is being called smart prosecution. It's no longer about just being hard on crime. It's about being smart on crime. Because here's the reality. As many folks as the police lock up, we can't arrest our way out of this thing. Every month, 5,000 felons are being released from the penitentiary back into the state of Kansas. So here's the deal. You can arrest them, but everybody's not in for life, right? And so we have to do some thinking, right? We have to do some thinking, and the judges are on board with that. And so when we're looking at, once we charge these individuals, we all collaborate and try to be smart and concerned of how we can sentence these folks and be productive in a way that will still benefit our community when they get out. Okay, so what requirements do we have? What do they have to do? Do they have to get a degree? Do they have to get their high school diploma? Do they have to get their GED? Do they have to get a job? And a lot of this stuff goes into play when you're dealing with probation versus going into prison. Yes, ma'am.
You know, I was just thinking, when you look at what's happening out at Legends and the projected businesses and so forth that are coming to Wyandotte County, and, you know, we're hearing a lot of more positive things about Wyandotte County. And, you know, the mayor talks about different businesses that are coming here and what they're doing. I just wonder, you know, as we look at the children even in the school systems, and we talk about the crime that goes on, what kind of a prospect is there for the graduating seniors that graduate from school in Wyandotte County, and even those who go on beyond to college, what is going to bring them back to Wyandotte County?
Yeah, I would say that, as again, going back to the economic growth, I think that we are growing economically. I think within the next 5 years, not only are we going to have seen that growth out west, but it's going to be downtown. And it's going to be pushing it. Now, of course, I'm not the mayor, all right, and nor am I a commissioner. I'm just a DA, and my job is to make sure that as they try to pursue this economic growth throughout Wyandotte County, that I assist the police in making sure that we get rid of the high crime areas, okay? Because here's the reality. Whether it's a business that's thinking about coming to Kansas City, Kansas, or Wyandotte County, or whether it's that child who graduates to go get their college degree and come back, if it's a whole bunch of crime, they don't want to be there, okay? And so my focus is get rid of the crime, or at least lower it, okay? And show that we're taking crime serious. And so I think there's a lot of prospect. I left, and I got my degree, and I came back. And what you find is that folks that come back here oftentimes come back because of the passion for Wyandotte County. Wyandotte is a great place, and people love Wyandotte County. The things that run folks away from Wyandotte is crime or the lack of opportunity. And I think that we're beginning to see more and more opportunities that have come to Wyandotte County, and Wyandotte is beginning to be seen as more of a place that can do that economic growth for a lot of businesses. And my hope and what I project is in the next 5 years, you're gonna see a lot more folks, not out west, but in downtown Kansas City, Kansas.
And I think that one of the main concerns are people of color.
Yes, ma'am.
And, actually being able to see you in position is a good thing.
Yes, ma'am.
But we need other people in positions of color
Right.
to be the role model that some of these children need.
Well, and here's the deal. It's not just, right, people of color, because I know some folk that I wouldn't vote for, and they look like you and I. But it's folks who are, good
Right.
morally sound, value, folks who believe in making the entire community safe, and then we need them to run for office, right? Okay, because I know some knucklehead folks that they was trying to hook up with me just because I look like them. I have to pray for them, preacher, and keep on stepping. And so, point is, I think we're getting to that point, but it's just, it takes all of us, one step at a time. I am so proud of Wyandotte County, and I did some history, just because you brought up being African American. Wyandotte County has really moved, and Jonathan said, I got a 6 o'clock appointment, I know, I gotta go, but Jonathan, what I did my research on, when I was running for office, because I didn't know that I was the first African American to run for DA, not just in Wyandotte, but in the state of Kansas.
Wow.
When I found that out, so I'm the first elected in the state of Kansas as African American district attorney. I found this out and I started doing the research. And once I did the research, I found out that Wyandotte County, likewise, Meek Sr., is the first African American district judge for the entire state of Kansas, right out of Wyandotte County. Hold up, it goes further. The first African American chief of police for the state of Kansas, Austin Daniels, came out of Wyandotte County. So as much as folk got something to say about diversity of Wyandotte County, listen, and it wasn't just all black folk, Jerry, who voted me in. Okay, we got a lot of white folk, a lot of Latino and Asian folks. We are a very diverse group, and our multicultural ism in Wyandotte County has proven for the state of Kansas for decades.